Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PM revision. So, here we are with this second chapter. So, this is chapter 2, Management Information Systems. Let's get started. These are these are such chapters which help you get familiar with the terminology. This will help you with the questions that you solve in section B, which talk about the technical terms that there are in PM, for example, network, intranet, firewall, extranet. These are the terms that we usually use in daily life, but with this chapter, you get to understand the real definitions of these terms and ultimately gain a better conceptual clarity. So let's get started. First of all, it's very important that we understand what is meant by data and what is meant with information. So basically, if I tell you that on let's suppose 5th of February, Mr. X in America uh, probably bought 5 apples. So, is there any value that you can get out of this information, out of this data? So, basically, this is just something, a bare fact, which I have, presented in front of you. So, basically, any random piece of, fact or a figure, maybe I'm giving you a fact that the earth is round. So basically, this is something which is, unprocessed. All the transactions which are happening in an organization, maybe there's a sales return, there are purchases returns. So basically, all of your facts and figures which are there in an unprocessed format. So facts and figures in unprocessed format will be classified as data. So anything which is a raw, bare fact or a figure which has not been processed will be data. And how does this data become information? It is the process of data processing. It is the process in which you process data and convert that into information. So data processing is basically conversion of data into information. So in this process, you are processing your data to make it into a meaningful thing for the user also. So basically, you obtain data first, then you do data processing, and after you process the data, you are able to arrive at information. So information is something which is data which has been processed, data processed in a way that it becomes useful to the receiver, that it becomes useful to the receiver. So basically, data which is just bare facts or numbers, if you process that, if you probably show some charts to me, that this is the demand. Maybe I'm an apple farmer, so if you show me that this is the demand in different regions of the world, this will help me to make decisions that okay, these are the parts of the world where I can sell my apples. So this is how we have processed raw, bare facts and figures into information, which will ultimately help the receiver. So if I am the receiver and the data that I'm getting, the information that I'm getting is about the different amounts of apples that are demanded by people in different continents, maybe I'll be able to narrow my market down and I'll be able to find out where I can make the maximum revenue. So it becomes useful for me. I am the receiver. So this is how we have understood 3 technical terms. First is data. Data was nothing but facts or figures in an unprocessed format. Then with the process of data processing, it's nothing but the process of conversion of data into information. And once we get the information, information is nothing which is data which has been processed in a manner that it becomes useful to the receiver. So this is all that we have learned so far. Now let's also talk about what are the characteristics of good information. So, I can probably have some information which you have given to me, but it's not very useful to me. So, what are the characteristics of information which will make the information useful, or, getting some value out of that information? So, whenever you have to remember what are the characteristics of good information, there's an acronym that we use, which is accurate. So accurate, this is the acronym which will help you to remember the features or the characteristics of good information. So the very first A represents accurate itself. So the information that you are providing to me should be accurate. Only then it will have a meaning for me. Only then it will be useful for me. If you're giving me the wrong numbers, the decisions I make based on that information will also give me non-accurate decisions, and this will ultimately forfeit the entire reason why I am getting good information. There will be no value that I obtain from this if the data is not, if the information that I have is not accurate. Then the second thing which the C represents is complete. So, it is always said that incomplete information is even more deadly than having no information. So it's always important that whatever information that you're gathering, it should be complete. Maybe you only know half side of the story and you take a very big decision just looking at the half side of the story, and the other side of the story is completely opposite. So you end up taking the wrong decisions. That is why it is very important that you always have complete information. Then the second C which we have over here represents cost effective. So let me explain this with the help of an example. So cost effective basically means over here that the cost that I'm incurring to get some information should basically be lesser than the benefit that the benefit that I'm getting out of it. So perhaps currently my profit out of the Apple business is, let's suppose, $1 million, and I have obtained some sort of information. I have spent money on, nothing in the world comes for free. Even if I'm doing some market research, I will have to spend money on that market research. So basically, to obtain good information, I'm spending that money. So probably I have ordered a research, and the research apparently will cost me $0.5 million. Now, with the knowledge, with the good information that I get out of this research, my profits are only going up by $0.3 million. So is this cost effective? No, right? I have spent a larger money obtaining that information rather than getting the money from getting the profits from using that information. So if spending 0.5 million gives me an extra profit of 0.3 only, that means I should not be obtaining that information. I am better off with my $1 million itself. So this is how information should be cost effective. The cost of obtaining that information should be lesser than the benefit that you are getting out of that information. So this is what we mean by cost effective. Then the U in this represents understandable. So let me bring this a little down over here. So it should be understandable. What do we mean by understandable? So basically, if we are talking about some information which I have asked someone to give it to me, so probably he's given that information to me in such a format or in such a language which I do not understand. So if I do not understand that language, does that have any value for me? No, right? So it should be simple, it should be understandable, so that even the user, the receiver of that information should be able to understand that, should be able to get the value out of that. So that's why good information should always be understandable. It should not be something complex which only the higher level of people who with the expertise and knowledge should be able to understand. It should be understandable to the simple people also who do not have a lot of knowledge about the technicalities. So this is what U stands for in characteristics of good information. Then let's talk about the R. So basically the R over here stands for relevant. So if the I'm an Apple, I'm a farmer who grows apples. So is the information about, let's suppose, iPhones of any use to me? I grow the real apples and not the apple. I'm not selling Apple mobile phones or Apple iPads or anything, MacBooks. So this information is not relevant for me. Probably what might be relevant is what's the demand of apple juice. So maybe now that I'm a farmer of apples, I can probably process that into apple juice and sell that if that is more profitable. So the information that I get should be relevant for me. It should be of use, that, it should not be something which is anything random. It should be something which is relevant to me, anything which will impact me, which can have a good or a bad implication for me. If it is anything which is not related to me, then it is not a good information for me. Then let's talk about the A that's there over here. The A stands for accessible. So good information should always be accessible. That means if I am a user of the information, it should be available to me in a specific format which I'm able to access. If I'm not able to access that information, then it is of no use to me. I have obtained the reports, and the reports are probably in some sort of a robotic language, which is not something that I understand. So this is not accessible to me. So that is why this will not be a piece of good information for me. Then let's talk about the T over here. The T stands for timely. So let's suppose there was an information that was provided to me about the consumption of apple juice, and maybe the apple juice consumption data, the information that I have gotten, talks about 2023. Now we're already in 2024. How will that information help me, right? So it should be timely. If there's probably some update that is coming, that, from the last year, there's going to be a change in the population, and they're going to be demanding more of apple juice, then that information should come timely to me, so that I'm able to also act on it and then take advantage of the information. So good information should always arrive to you on time. If it arrives to you after a certain time has passed and you're not able to take advantage of that, then it's not a good information. Then the last E that we have is easy to use. So basically, this again is like a summary of all the things that we have talked about, that it should be understandable, it should be relevant, it should be timely, it should be accessible. So it should also be easy to use. The information should be simplified enough so that I'm also able to easily use that in my business. So basically, this acronym ACCURATE you can use to remember the characteristics of good information. Now, let's talk about the next technical term that we have in this chapter, which is information technology. Information technology, also shortened and more popular as IT. So IT is nothing but any equipment which is concerned with the capture, storage, transmission, or presentation of information. So basically, this is like a bookish definition if we try to understand. So information technology is anything, any equipment which will help you with the capturing, storage, or transmission or presentation of information. So all the information that you have collected, probably it helps you in capturing the information. So a camera helps me capture the videos that I create for you guys. So it's information technology. My laptop has storage in it. This is also information technology. I am able to store my videos so that I'm able to upload them on YouTube for you guys. Then transmission of the information is another way how information technology helps me. So with the help of YouTube, I'm able to transmit the information that the knowledge that I have of the performance management subject. I'm able to transmit that information with the help of YouTube. So YouTube also is an information technology. And presentation, again, like Excel helps me to present my data in charts and sheets. So that is also information technology. So it is anything that helps you capture, store, transmit, or present information. So this is information technology. Then we talk about information systems. So the next term that we have is information systems. So basically information systems are those which will help you with the provision and management of information to help you support the running of the organization. So basically these systems will be present in the organization. They will have they will provide for the storage of the information, and they will also help you manage that information to run your business, and they will also help you to gain a competitive advantage. So information systems will also help in gaining a competitive advantage. So this is what we talk about the information systems. So these are basically systems that will help you with the provision and management of information that support you with running your business. Then the next thing that we do is a cost benefit analysis, like I told you above when we were discussing about the characteristics of good information. So we knew that good information should be cost effective. So to understand whether or not the information is cost effective, we undertake a cost benefit analysis. So a cost benefit analysis will do what? It will assess the expected costs and benefits of the information system. So basically it will probably lay down all the costs and all the benefits that we expect from using the specific information system, and if my benefits are more, I will go for that system, as simple as that. Then the next thing that we talk about is a network. So basically these are all the terminologies that we are getting familiar with. So network is something which facilitates the transfer of information. So if I talk about the internet is also a network which helps me transfer the information. I'm able to transfer the videos to YouTube with the help of a network. So this is a network is something which is facilitating the transfer of information. Then let's learn about the next technical term, which is intranet. So intranet is something which is basically, as the name suggests, intra is something which is internal. So inter means we are depending upon a lot of things. Internet is something which is, all the networks are linked with each other. But intranet is something wherein it is an internal network that we use to share the information. So basically, let me write this over here. It is an internal network used to share information. Now, to give an example, usually all the organizations have a network of their own. It is an internal network. So probably if we talk about Microsoft will have their own internal network wherein all of their employees will communicate with each other. The things that they share with amongst themselves cannot go out of that network because of the protection that the intranet offers. So every organization has an intranet of their own. It is an internal network that the employees of that specific company use to share the information. So this is what an intranet is. It is more safer than internet because no one from outside the organization, no one external to the organization can have access to the data or information which is shared in intranet. So this is what we learn about intranet. Moving on, the next term that we learn about is a firewall. So basically a firewall is as the name suggests, it's a wall to protect against the fire. So it will fend off unauthorized access from outside the information. So these are security guards that are put in place, that I have an intranet, and probably we are the organization of Microsoft. We have our own intranet, and someone from outside, maybe some of our competitor, is trying to get our data. So firewall is such a protective measure which will help me to prevent that external person to access any information which is shared on my intranet. So a firewall will be something which will send away any unauthorized access from outside the information. It will not allow anyone from outside my organization to be able to access any information which I have shared on my intranet. So this is what a firewall is. Now, the next terminology that we learn is cloud computing. Cloud computing. So cloud computing is basically when you use a network of remote servers which is hosted on the internet to store, manage and process data. So basically, if I am an organization, let's suppose I am Microsoft, so if I have a cloud computing in place, then there will be, instead of like serving, the saving all of my information on the local devices which are there in my office, what I do is that I have a network of remote servers. That means these servers do not exist in real life. They're all remote. They are all on the internet. So these remote servers which are there on the internet, all the employees are going to store all of this information on the internet server instead of putting it physically in one place. So this cloud computing helps to like in real time to store data on the internet. And another advantage is that it's safer because your data remains more safe because it's not in a physical position. It's there on the internet and it remains over there. So this is what we learn about cloud computing. Now, what are the advantages? If we talk about the advantages of cloud computing, the number one is that it is more effective than in-house data handling. So basically, in-house data handling means that there are people that you have employed in the organization who will be looking at the handling of the data. But if this is already done and stored on the internet, this becomes more effective because you no longer need the services of those people. The system does it automatically, so it's even more reliable. So it is easier. Another advantage that we have is easier to take the lead around what good information looks like. So basically, this point means that when all of your data is stored in one place, it is getting updated on a real time basis. Every change is just taking a fraction of a second to get updated. So that means it's easier to obtain good information since everything is in one place. It will be easier for the management to pull up data and then take their decisions accordingly. And another advantage that it offers is that it's a backup safety net. So that means even if anything happens to my hardware that I have, uh, I will still have my data stored on the internet, which no one can take. So this becomes a backup safety net. Even though I lose my hardware to, probably, let's suppose there was a natural disaster, but because it was saved on the cloud, that information I can still retrieve and it is not completely lost. Another advantage that it offers is, again, like we talked about, security. Since it is available, stored on the internet, if I am using the right amount of firewalls and everything to prevent the unauthorized access, then I have top-notch security because there's no intruder who can come in and take this information. The last advantage that we talk about is its agility. So basically, agility means that it is something which is universally acceptable. People all over the world use cloud computing. It is not difficult to explain it to someone because a lot of people already know about it and they use this thing. So this is all we talk about the cloud computing. Now, let's talk about other terminologies that we should be familiar with. So this is extranet. Extranet basically is about a collaborative network which will use internet to join different organizations. So basically, this is an extension of your intranet. Extension of intranet. So basically, it will create you a network and it will allow you to collaborate with other organizations also. So probably if I am Microsoft and I need the help of a consultant, maybe my consultant is EYGDS. So I will create an extranet where the people of Microsoft where the people of Microsoft and EY will get in touch with each other together. The only people from these two organizations will be able to use this extranet, and every other person on the internet will not be able to see this network. So this is how extranet can help you when you're probably in need to collaborate with other organizations also. So this is what we learn about extranet. Then we can also learn about internet. Internet everyone knows. So basically it's like a network wherein all people globally are connected. So it's a global system of interconnected networks. Then we talk about Wi-Fi. So everyone has a Wi-Fi today, and not a lot of you will know the full form of Wi-Fi. So basically Wi-Fi means wireless fidelity. So basically, Wi-Fi is something which will facilitate the mobile use of laptop computers and handheld devices. If you have, earlier back in the day, if you had to access internet, you could only access internet on a computer with the help of a modem. A modem was something which helped you to connect to the internet, and that internet which the modem used to support with, the computer used to use that internet to provide any information that we were looking for. But now with the help of Wi-Fi, we are even able to access internet on our phones, on our laptops, even while we are on the go, because it is because of Wi-Fi. Then another technical term that we talk about in this chapter is direct data capture. So data capture is basically when we are trying to capture data. That means we are trying to note data down with us. So when it comes to direct data capture, so this will be data which is input in the computer with the help of a reader. So usually this is done with barcodes. If it is a very common application that I can give you an example. So basically the barcodes that are there on the products that we buy from the supermarket. So it's a box, and over there you will find black lines and then some spaces in between. So these are barcodes which the person who is billing us will scan with a machine, and the data will get directly captured. So usually this is done with the help of barcodes. So this is known as direct data capture. Now we also talk about what are the methods. So barcode was one method. What are the other methods that we can do direct data capture? So one method is OCR. OCR stands for optical character recognition. So basically you insert your financial data into spreadsheet, then you scan articles in a word processor. So this is one of the methods of capturing the data directly. Then another thing that you have is OMR. So optical mark recognition is what OMR stands for. So basically, if you have given any exam which uses an OMR technology, so probably for question number 1, you have A, B, C, D. So you are supposed to fill in the entire the entire option which you are selecting as the right answer. And if you fill this in, the computer will automatically check your answer, and this will be checked if you have circled this entire thing, then the computer is going to recognize this and it's going to check your copies. So a lot of Olympiads which used to happen back in our schools, a lot of them used the OMR technology. So this is also another way to capture data directly. Now the third thing that we have with the methods is there are magnetic ink character recognition. So this is MICR. If you have also seen bank checks, you would see that there's a MICR code mentioned. So these are magnetic ink character recognition. So basically, this is actually used in the banking industry a lot. There are codes that are assigned, and using the codes, like on the checks, there are some letters which are written with magnetic inks. So this technology helps you to read the magnetic ink characters, and this also helps you to capture data directly. Now the fourth method that we have are barcodes. So barcodes are something which we just talked about. So in the supermarket, when you are checking out items for billing. This is where barcodes are used. They're also used to track your goods that are lying in the warehouse. They can also be used in libraries where they can be scanned for returning and borrowing of books. And these are also used, if you have seen while going in an airplane, usually the luggage that you submit to receive at the destination, they also tag that with a barcode. So with that barcode, if they scan that, they have all of the details of the passenger, which is you. So this is another way where our barcodes are used to capture the data directly. So this was the fourth thing, barcodes. Another method that you have is a magnetic strip. A magnetic strip. So basically, these magnetic strips are something which are often used in credit cards. And if you withdraw your money from the ATMs, all of these cards are fitted with these magnetic strips. These are very small magnet chips which help in the recognition of data. So again, it is a method to capture data directly. Then the last thing that we have is a voice recognizer. So if you know about all of these, assistants that are there in our phones. So in Apple, it is Siri. We also have Alexa from Amazon. So these are all voice recognizers. They help. They understand your vocal commands, the spoken commands, whatever. So if you have an Alexa and you tell her to, run some music, so you just say, Alexa, play this song. So it plays that song. So it's a voice recognizer method. So it will follow your commands. It is trained in a manner that it is trained to follow the commands that you give it. So this is another way to capture data directly. Now with this, we are done with the methods of data capture. Now we talk about the general controls. So general controls are any controls which the organization will put in place to have an overall control over their information systems. So an example could be having passwords, having you to scan the ID to be able to access some of the places where the servers are possibly located. So these are the general controls. Then we also have the application or program controls. Application or program controls. So these are basically the controls which are put in place automatically, which are performed automatically by the system. So basically, if we talk about the types of controls, so input control can also be passwords. So the use of passwords will be some, you input the password, and if you input the right one, only then it lets you to access further. Then we talk about the processing. So for the processing, you also can have audit trails. So audit trails basically means that if, let's suppose, uh, an employee of the organization has accessed their payroll records. So that means there will be a trail that, if I want to check who accessed the record at what time. So it is these processing controls that I will use. I will use audit trails to find back who was the person who accessed and who made changes, if any, if they made to the system. Then another sort of control, so if it is at output, so then you can also check your distribution lists. So maybe if someone has tried to steal your data from the organization, they would have emailed that information to a specific another email which may be external to your organization also. So then distribution lists can be used, that okay, this data was shared to this and this person. So this is what a distribution list will tell. So this is about the application of program controls that we have. And the last term that we have in this chapter is data encryption. You would have read this term hundreds and thousands of times on WhatsApp. So on WhatsApp, it usually says that your chats are now end-to-end encrypted. That means not even WhatsApp can read what you're talking about. So data encryption is exactly this. It is the technique of changing the form of your information to preserve its confidentiality. That means that the data, the chats that you have on WhatsApp are converted into some other language while they are being stored, so that it is in a format where no one else can read it, so there's a confidentiality that remains preserved with your data. So this is what we mean by data encryption. It is a change in the form in order to preserve the confidentiality. With this, we have come to an end to chapter number 2 of the PM syllabus. In the next video, we'll be revising the chapter number 3. I hope that this was helpful. Stay tuned for the further ones.